What does that mean? And what am I going to do because of that? Where's it going to, like, so the Mercury, very strong influence. So you see, if you live with a person, you see this, like, has her specific detail about all the things she's doing, and she's always trying to figure out where she's coming from, or figure out why this or why that. When she tries to explain it, Neptune's where she can't explain it that well. Neptune square Mercury, but she knows it and she's working with it and always trying to find another thing to go with it. That's strong. So there's this analytical side, a fussy side of living in a tidy or a clean home, having things in order. You know, it's better than klutzy. But that's the motivated to have that. It's nice to clean the specific home where you can be secure. All the other planets tie into this. The moon, the Mars, those 4 planets are all around making it better. And how content can she be? Is she resting in that? But that motivation, that contentment, that security anchor of where I'm coming from, my integrity, because it's Virgo, she's always going to be analyzing, is this okay? Is this enough? Is this good enough? It has a very deep process of thinking and rethinking and rethinking. This is affecting her motivation. So you want to really reach her, you're going to have to reach her with ideas, reach her with good ideas and good communication. If you are reaching her with truth and good communication, it's going to affect her deeply. Okay, the difficulty with the Mercury Neptune, it can gloss over. Whereas if the Mercury in Leo just holds in, is consistent, and you learn something well, you'll be able to express about it. But if you try and cut corners and go too fast, you have the Mercury Neptune and you get a little spaced out and you won't be able to express yourself that well. So that's the need to be sick. It's just motivated by good ideas and right thinking, and you could say motivated by when everybody's cluttered or not thinking correctly or not doing things with the right system. It's going to bug you, and you'll be motivated by their discomfort or their inconveniencing of you. But now, when you look at the aspects again, you don't see any really bad aspects. It's not squared or opposed by anything, but it is conjunct by Uranus. And Uranus is a planet of excitability, of being different, of breaking through things. It's a planet of shock and sudden change. Right in her 4th house, conjunct her motivation and her security anchor. So she's not going to, just when she thinks she's secure, she's going to want to break away from it. She doesn't fit into normal security with Uranus there. It makes her high strung. So if she's in a place that she doesn't belong, she's going to feel like I got to break away. She's going to get restless. She's not going to be able to sleep. She's going to almost worry herself, I got to get out of here. But living in an unconventional type of home, a studio, traveling, mobile home, anyway, like there's an attraction to having the unconventional, living in a studio, but it wouldn't be the normal, boring home. And she wouldn't fit into the normal way, so she's not going to find a home that parents are going to say, oh, that's really nice, we'll come over. She's going to look for a home that shocks mom and shocks dad. That's a bit shocking. It's different than the way she grew up. So she's motivated personally to break away from where she's coming from, that Uranus. Now, that fits into the phase of the moon, to break away from where you come from, to go towards it. It's the active side of the seesaw and the place of how to stay focused. So I think the IC is the most important point in the houses. Most astrology makes the midheaven what you do with your career and how your status is out in the world. This is what makes you tick inside. So a good book, intelligent book, someone explains things clearly, like Astrology explains things clearly, would have a very profound effect on them. You could pick up the ideas and see how it works and explains things. And it opens up doors. Then you're talking, you're commuting. Wow, it opens up doorways. But if you weren't exciting, if it wasn't exciting and interesting, boy, what were you going to talk about? How are you going to talk about it? Just, so because it's on the angle, it's said to be, a conjunction is said to be accidentally dignified. It accentuates that Uranus and the need to live differently. And at the same time, we'll come to it, that Uranus is opposing the MC. So why work I need the security, but I want to live on my own. I want to have some freedom. I don't want to fit that job. I don't want to fit in there. I got to break it. There's an instinctive tendency to break away from the status and from career, to have a different lifestyle, to do something different, to be free, or to be thinking clearly in a different way. Well, you can see how significant this would be in terms of studying astrology and knowing answers to things that everybody wants to know, but nobody knows, and be able to talk about this. This is a really powerful motivational factor that would really transform what she can do and how she can communicate. It would be a really good addition to her chart. So, but this eccentricity around living, this need to be different. It's like, don't smother me. I can't fit into your situation. I don't want to move. So I don't want to necessarily move here or live there. I want to break away from here. I got to break away from here. I got to do something different. That's not going to make mom or dad that very peaceful. And all the planets in the fourth house will come in and move, will be what's dumped, how things are dumped onto the IC. Something's forcing an issue, something feels insecure, somebody said something critical. Then there's a confrontation around, how can I put up with this? How can I do this? I gotta have these things. Then there's a need to break away or to be different or unique. In a worldly way, it's unstable. But the charts will sit in a spiritual way. This is a very profound and breakthrough-oriented factor. So if the security, Moon in Virgo, is still tied up in earthly things or mundane things or money or buying a home or having places, this person is probably not better off not buying a home and better off live independently and then to be able to move or change where she's living to just fit in. But you see the puzzle. And that fills up the mind and the thinking with things to do. I got to go fix this. I got to do this today. I got to go take care of this. I got to do this. Inner fussiness is there. If you just know the Leo, wouldn't see it, but the Gemini would thrive on it. The Gemini rising, the Moon in Virgo, they're going to get busy with things, restless with things, anxious with things, but not necessarily finish things. At least starting something, going on something different. So the challenge in getting the excitement, I'm taking astrology as an example, being mentally stimulating, exciting, the challenge is to follow it all the way through so you've got it and you have it stably. Then you can use that excitement to talk to other people. If you try and cut corners and do it faster, you'll end up embarrassed by saying some wrong thing at the right time or right thing at the wrong time. And that Neptune Mercury will be built up more. So it's like if you're living your planets right and you're choosing the better qualities, you diminish the darkness or you evolve the quality of the stressful aspects. Doesn't mean it takes away, it just evolves the quality. It doesn't become so gross or so stressful that way. Okay, so this I see is the hinge between the projecting and the reacting. She's slightly more reactive than projective, but she has both. But she's very independent in her way of doing things that you see. So then once she has this, once she's decided on something and it gets restless, I can't do that anymore. I got to change this. I'm doing something different today. Let's do this. Let's break the plan. Let's change things that I see. Then it'll go out. It'll start to project it. I'm going to do this. So it's important. I'm going to go for this. What I'm doing now. And then the Gemini said it's going to revel in this. Let's change. Let's go for it. Let's do it. It's going to want to talk about all the things that are changing and going on. It wants to express it. So it's easy for this chart to get very superficial, talking about every little thing. But once it gets a good depth and good insight, it can become really radiantly inspiring. Okay, but this Gemini ascendant, the identity, the self-image is the most independent thing. Daylight's increasing, daylight's better. I'm speaking. She could easily interrupt people because she's talking. Don't interrupt her when she's talking. Listen, enjoy it. But she's going to be pushing her ideas and unique, independent ideas. That ascends right at the longest day. The end of Gemini, the strongest point of Gemini, the most curious, but also the most independent and not wanting to be smothered. So it's like if you're an author and you got the excellent book, you wrote the book, that would be enough. But then you have to put up with people who read your book that want to talk to you. Well, that's okay, up to a point. But then the ability to communicate, to write, to express herself, that's so strong in this chart. You know, it's rising, the Mercury in the third house, the Uranus on the IC, it's all pushing things upward. So you can go through each house and build this up steadily like we did in the classes, but I'm just touching these angles. So she's going to project her ideas. So as soon as she's motivated, guess who's going to talk about it? Guess who's going to have trouble keeping secrets? Oops, I do know. There's this natural inclination to talk about things. So but sometimes you talk about some things, they can affect other people. It's important to have noble and good thoughts for that Leo. If they can begin to become less ignoble or deceptive or other thoughts, they're going to be projected and everyone would notice. Now, there's no aspects to the ascendant. There's no, oh yes, there is. I'm sorry, I didn't draw them in here. 1 second, where are we? Yeah, here's the one for the angles. Okay, there it is. So on the IC, you had the Uranus, which we talked about. That independence makes it very difficult to hold steady at any job. With the opposing the midheaven, we'll come to that. But the focus is on getting independent, living your own way, having your own ideas, and having it figured out, being able to tell it, explain it. The ascendant has the square to Mars and the moon. It sextiles the IC, so it's not a problem talking about the motivation. The difficulty, it's Gemini, it's communicative, it's free speech, it's funny, but the square to the moon and the square to Mars, the square to Mars makes it edgy and angry, and the moon will tie into that. The fussy picking is when things aren't exactly right. She's inclined to suddenly say, oh, that's stupid, or who messed up this, or who didn't pick up this, or who did this, or what's happening. And there could be a sarcastic or edgy or angry side, or someone's telling her what to do. There's an angry side to the personality, or a tendency to push too hard, or keep active, keep restless, and not to slow down. It's all immutable signs. But because it's a square to that moon, Mars, that sense of security, my personality and what I'm looking for, how I'm trying to be, it adds stress from the moon, from the past, which is what's moving away from the past anyway. It's not going back and talking about it. But to the Mars adds impatience, restlessness, and a sort of an angry intolerance at times. At times in life, this would come up. It wouldn't always, it would generally be there, but it would become extreme when there's extreme transits or progressions. But you get the sense of she's very smart and very analytical, but probably would need to have something physical, some physical system like Tai Chi or yoga to be doing to keep the mind centered, to keep it control so it's not spinning all over the place. And she would always have to be watching about saying the wrong thing to the right in the right moment, at the wrong moment. She could easily see something, oh, this is it, and criticize someone else, and oh boy, she'd hit the nerve and then get a bigger reaction than she meant to. So usually she'd see, oops, time to go, time to get out of here. I'm not staying here, I've got something else to do. Be more processes like that, people would wonder where she went. Okay, so that's just inner projection. She's got this curiosity, this ability to project ideas freely and project her identity freely, even though her identity is trying to be free and independent, but it's very systemic, very analytical. Both Mercury ruled. So what she knows, she'll talk. So if she knows good things will be projected, and maybe a little forcefully. So if she's trying to tell mom about her horoscope and the mom doesn't like astrology, there'll be a bit of a fight or something. But you can imagine all kinds of little things. But you can't say for sure what it is, because you have to observe how that person is manifesting that stress. You know the stress is there. You know there'll be an edginess or restlessness to that personality. How she deals with it, that's another thing. But that's there. It's not affecting her son. It's affecting her past. Things from the past and people interpreting things is different than what I'm trying to do for myself and how I'm trying to go forward. So she projects this out and goes into the 12th house, friends and enemies, extends to people, and it builds up her status. But since she's not interested or tends to break away from status or any fixed career, as she projects things out, she's inclined to break away. Oh, that's yesterday's truth. I don't exactly. She has a built-in mechanism to not work or to not fit in the midheaven. She'd do things if she has to.